Welcome to KAYFABE Commentary, or maybe this time I should just say Breaking KAYFABE Commentary, as we are not doing this one in KAYFABE. My name is Erik Rupp, and I am your host, and on this edition of the show, we are going to be doing something different. We're not going to be talking about NWA Power or an NWA pay-per-view. We are going to be talking about the Circle Squared. For the first time, we're going to cover the show that is basically a tryout show for the NWA, kind of their own version of an American Idol kind of thing where you're really auditioning to get a spot in the NWA. And it's a great idea. It gives young talent and maybe some older overlooked talent that hasn't gotten a break yet, it gives them an opportunity to show what they can do. It's a great concept. I really like the idea. And what I'm going to do first, real briefly, is talk on the first episode that was on in mid-February. With that episode, I'll tell you what, that was one where I really liked both teams. You had Hawks Aerie, PJ and Luke Hawks, and they were a father and son team, and they looked pretty good. I mean, Luke Hawks, the father, he has much more experience. He looks seasoned. He looks ready to go. PJ Hawks, a bit young. He's 21, but he looks like he's in high school. He doesn't have the swagger or the charisma or the presence that really commands respect. He doesn't intimidate anybody. He's a very good amateur wrestler, has a lot of great skills, but he needs to bulk up a bit and become a little more confident and have that swagger that age and experience is going to bring. So to be honest, I thought with the Hawks, I thought that they're really a couple of years away from being at the NWA level. Luke's there. He's ready to go. But PJ needs just a couple more years of seasoning to get older, to get bigger, to get that confidence that's going to lead to that swagger and then make him a little more believable as an intimidating figure in the ring that can beat anybody. Now, conversely, the team of Tyson Dean and Jeff Lewis Neal, they're ready to go. They look like legitimate title contenders right now. They look like a team that can hit the ground running and be credible and believable as contenders. And to top it off, they're managed by none other than Nikita Koloff, the legendary Nikita Koloff, whose connection with the NWA goes back literally decades. So this is a team that I think is ready to go now. The Hawks Aerie, I think they'll be ready in a year, probably closer to 2. And I'd hate to see them come in and essentially be enhancement talent, big air quotes there, enhancement talent, or to be blunt, jobbers. I wouldn't want to see that happen to them because that's a hard thing to come back from. The Dawsons recently had a hard time overcoming the fact that they lost a lot of matches, even though they were very competitive and they could win at any time and anybody would believe them as the tag team champions. So with Hawks Aerie, they're not there, and I'd hate to see them in a situation where coming in too early hurts their image and really damages their reputation long term. Dean and Neal are ready to go now, and they would get my vote. They did get my vote, and I really would like to see them in the NWA. Now, with the first episode out of the way, let's focus on the next episode, which featured Colby Corino, son of Steve Corino, and George South, who is the opposite of the young up-and-coming talent. He's a grizzled veteran who's been around since the early 80s. And this one was really interesting because you have two very imperfect candidates for the NWA. Colby Corino is young and he's got a ton of potential. You can see it. This guy has something, but it's just not quite there yet. Kind of like PJ Hawks, only he's a little closer. He just needs to work on his mic skills. He needs to create more of a presence and really kind of build up that aspect of the wrestling game. George South, on the other hand, he's got the mic thing down. After 30-plus years, 35 years basically, he knows exactly what he's doing. He's awesome on the mic. He is a classic heel. He knows how to get heat from the crowd, and he does it extremely well. And he's still good in the ring. but he's getting up there when it comes to age. And do you sign a wrestler that really only has maybe 2 or 3 good years left in them? Conversely, with Colby Corino, do you sign a guy maybe 2 years too early, knowing that he's going to most likely become a really good talent in the future? And that's where neither one of them is ideal to come in now. I mean, George South, yeah, he can come in right now and be effective. He's not long-term. He's not going to bring the youth movement to the NWA, but he is going to be extremely effective. So really looking at the two of them, George South is probably the one that's going to do the NWA the most good in 2020 and probably in 2021. After that, Colby Corino, at that point, he most likely would be the better of the two and the bigger asset. And then we get to episode 3. This time it's the women, and again, you have 2 imperfect candidates for the NWA. You have Freya from Alaska and Danny Jordan. Now, Freya looks physically imposing. She looks intimidating, and that's something that can be a big asset, obviously, in pro wrestling. Danny Jordan has more personality, and I think she's a little quicker and a little more athletic. Actually, she looked a lot more athletic in the ring, but I wish she were taller, and her promo seemed a little too scripted. It seemed like she was ready to go with her gimmicks, her burn book, the Mean Girl thing. It was just a little too prepared. And that's the thing about the NWA. This is not the WWE. In the WWE, they have everything scripted. There's nothing spontaneous, nothing real. It's all prepared for you. With the NWA, it's not so scripted. They really encourage the wrestlers to, whatever they do, make it as genuine as possible so it doesn't feel scripted. And Danny Jordan's bit felt scripted. And then she gets in the ring, and Freya's like 2 feet taller than her. Now, I'm exaggerating a little, obviously, but it's just hard to be believable or to be credible as a wrestler when you're below average in height. Now, Danny Jordan's ring skills are actually pretty good, but she's just at a disadvantage because of her height. Now, she can overcome her lack of height. There are women who aren't so tall who are very effective. But right now, the thing about Danny Jordan is she just seems like a standard issue wrestler. She doesn't have anything that makes her stand out in the ring. She doesn't have a specialty. She doesn't have a gimmick. She's got nothing to really make her seem more credible in the ring. For example, you look at Impact Wrestling and Jordynne Grace. She's not very tall. She's fairly short, but she's really thick. She's muscular. She's strong. She's got that great athleticism going. So she uses that power angle as her way of overcoming that lack of height. So she's not real tall, but she's really strong, really powerful, and really athletic. So that's where she makes up for that and becomes instantly credible. If Danny Jordan can come up with something that makes her stand out, that makes her seem more dangerous in the ring, she's golden. But she's got to come up with it. It's not there yet, and that's one more thing that she has to develop. On the mic, she can learn that. She's close. She's really close. Freya, on the mic, not as close. She's got potential. Freya's got potential on the mic. And in the ring, she needs more seasoning. She needs to get more coordination, more athleticism, because being big and strong only gets you so far. You've got to have more than that when you're a wrestler in the ring. So which one of them is a better candidate for the NWA? Danny Jordan better on the mic, more athletic, but when it comes to height, she's fairly small, and she doesn't have an in-ring gimmick or an in-ring specialty to help her overcome the perception that some people may have that she's not particularly credible when facing larger opponents. And then you got Freya, who's tall, clearly very strong, but, not as athletic, not as quick, and not as good on the mic. So which one do you go with? I mean, I really don't know. I don't know if either of them are ideal candidates for the NWA. And I hate to sound so negative. I don't mean to. All 4 of these candidates from the last 2 episodes, all 4 of them have the potential to bring something to the NWA that can make the NWA better. But of the 4, only George South is ready to go now, where he'll be an immediate asset, where he'll be an immediate help to the NWA. The other 3, they've got some developing to do. And whether it takes 6 months or a year or 18 months, I don't know how long it would take. But they've all got developing and some seasoning to do before they're really ready to go and be at the NWA level. So right now, of the 4, the only one that, like I said, that I'm really confident would be successful and helpful to the NWA today would be George South.